Welcome back to the ID427 Garage, everybody. Today we are going to try to get a first start done on the King's Cobra. So today we're going to first start the King's Cobra. Anthony's going to be showing up here in just a little while. We'll probably go out and grab a bite to eat real quick and then head back here to the shop and get the car up in the air, give it a quick once over. We've got to get the side pipes put on the car. I've got to get the fuel put in the car, a couple other little things, but other than that, this thing should be ready to go. I put the battery for the car on the charger last night. Came out to the shop just a little while ago. The green light on the battery tender is lit, so that means our battery is at 100%. So everything is pretty much ready to go. All right, fuel is in the car. We've got the car back kind of on the ground, just at eye level. We're going over everything one more time. And I just wanted to point out to you guys, if you're looking for 5-gallon fuel jugs, I think I've said this in the past, the most economical, probably best functioning fuel jugs out there are available at Tractor Supply. And you got to be careful when you go in the store to ask for a utility jug, because that's what they call these for particular reasons, especially here in California. This cannot technically be used for a fuel jug, but it resembles all of the other fuel jugs that are out there by VP and Jegs and Summit and all those. Same type of fuel cap goes on those. The same type of fuel spout will work with them. And this is not a paid endorsement for Tractor Supply, but these things are, less than half the cost of the other solutions that are available. And I've been using these for a while. I took this to the fuel station yesterday, got some 91 octane to put in the King's Cobra. So $20 got me about 4 gallons. Don't laugh. And we've already put this fuel into the fuel tank. We have a ketchup bottle over here. That's what we call them anyway. That we've got a little bit of that same 91 octane. I think the online places are going to list these as halftime bottles or sports jugs or something to that extent. But all it is it's a ketchup bottle with the spout at 90 degrees. And what that enables us to do is fill up the fuel bowls through the vent tubes in the carburetor that we're using to get this thing to start. And you want to have a little bit of fuel in the fuel bowl so it will run past just firing the engine off. So as a for instance, if you just squirt a little fuel down inside the Venturis, then all you're going to get is a quick fire of the engine. It's going to die. We want it to run, sustained run, for at least the amount of time that it's going to take to pull the fuel from the tank to the carburetor through the mechanical fuel pump. And just squirting in there a little time is going to take you forever. The other thing that we're going to do is, because we have a unprimed engine, so to speak, this engine has supposedly been run in and dyno run. So we should have a small amount of oil on the top end of the engine that's going to get us first started without it causing any damage to any of the valve train components. However, we do want to turn the car over, meaning use the starter to turn the engine without actually firing the engine. So we're gonna probably take 1, 2, maybe 3 runs at turning the starter and build some oil pressure. The other thing that we've got going against us in this is that the gauge is not a mechanical gauge for the oil pressure. And so since it relies on the run portion of the ignition switch, the gauges go flat when you go to start, because all power is basically sent to the ignition and to the starter at that point. And so everything else is secondary. So your gauges are going to basically drop to 0 when you're in the start position of the ignition switch on a factory 5, and for most other ignition switches as well. We could hook up a mechanical gauge, but I'm pretty confident that this thing is going to fire and we're going to have just oil pressure that's going to be fine. So we're not going to worry too much about it, but we are going to try to prime the engine a little bit with the starter before we go ahead and connect the ignition and let this thing fire for the first time. All right, so we're going to try to build some oil pressure. We're going to do, what, 15 seconds, maybe 2-3 times?
Yep.
Ready?
Yes, sir. Go, go.
Second to recover. Look good?
Yeah, we're good
Okay.
over here.
Another time?
Yeah.
Fueling much on this side, but I don't see anything weeping. We look good. One more time?
Sure.
There's no. Okay,
Is that oil pressure gauge responding under crank, or is that
it's not going to. Every time I hit the key, of course, they all go to 0. So yeah, it's not on that side of the switch. So we're not going to get a reading off the oil pressure gauge.
And is it slow to wake up? Because when you're done, is the key in the on position or off right now?
It was in the on position.
Okay.
So
Would you mind going one more
not
time?
at all.
12 seconds?
Not at all. We'll go.
Oh, no, you had oil pressure.
Did we?
Yep.
Okay.
So, as soon as
It's not falling off real quick, so it's
Exactly.
holding pressure long enough that you were able to see the gauge go up. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't paying that close of attention to it.
10, 12 pounds on the way down real quick, so it was probably 20, 25 while cranking.
Well, if it was at 10 or 12, then
More
that's
than-
enough to idle.
That's some days that's more than enough to run the car.
That's it. I saw some. Did you watch Steve Morris's video this week, or did you watch Steve Morris?
I watched one. I didn't watch this week's. Wow, what's going on?
He's basically got a pro mod.
Yeah.
It's a wooden
He's got a,
wagon.
no, I was going to say wagon.
And
Came apart.
they actually he held it together for the most part for the week, and they adjusted their idle so that it would idle better in traffic. But what they didn't account for is that it dropped the oil pressure so low,
Yeah.
10 pounds on bushed roller rockers, that they flattened out the rockers. And so they had to change out all the rockers. So after that, he went ahead and he raised his idle, his base idle, and they didn't have problems the rest of the week. So these are the things that you kind of learn when you're on a drag and drive event.
Yes. Careful. It could go off at any second.
And I've already given this discussion, but since we're on camera,
Tell me the disadvantages of having a vacuum secondary 4-barrel carburetor on a car that only weighs 2,000 pounds.
So it's going to struggle to generate the vacuum signal necessary to wake up the secondaries. The car is going to transition real soft, and that's fine in something that's not quite as spirited as a Cobra, but you want it to transition quick, rather abrupt in a Cobra.
Right.
It suits the style of the car. It's going to transition too soft, it may not open the secondary.
So long term, this carburetor probably may not, well, it's probably not the best choice for this particular engine. This is a 347 with probably about 10.5 to 1 compression. And so even though this is I think this is 650, which is adequately sized for a street car.
Oh, absolutely.
It's probably not the ideal carburetor because one, it has vacuum secondaries.
Correct.
And two, it has an electric choke.
Yeah. Again, depending on the end use, the intentional end use of the car, the electronic choke can be dealt with. The vacuum secondaries will always hold the car back.
Right, but I think you said it perfectly. If the electric choke is adjusted properly.
Yes.
Because if it's not, it can do two things. It can either hang open,
Right.
which is fine.
Yes.
The venturis in the carburetor will open completely when you go ahead and stay on the throttle.
Yeah.
But if it's partially closed at all time, it's going to make the thing run rich, and
It'll
it's
run.
actually going to use a lot of fuel.
Yep.
And it's going to blacken your spark plugs and everything else.
And leave a lot of power on the table.
Yeah. So the best choice for a car like this, even if you're in a colder climate, is to keep it indoors.
Yeah. Okay.
And then deal with the fact that it does not have a choke.
Right.
And wait for it to warm up and before you go out and drive it.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to be a pretty adventurous soul to be driving this on a day that it needed choke for 5
I
minutes.
understand, but even here in Southern California, you know, we typically have this time of year 40 and low 50 degree weather where the car's not going to want to run until it warms up. So you're better off, even in that case, without electric choke because it's one less thing to fiddle with.
Absolutely. Yeah, the timing of the choke would be a non-stop issue in a place like this,
Yeah.
where our temperature swings are so big.
Okay. You want to see if we can get some fuel in there?
Sure.
See if she'll fire. Probably got enough in there.
Let's see where we get with that. I don't want to wake up too hard.
Okay. You know where that is, right?
For what? It's telling me where.
By the door?
Yeah.
Red cylinder?
Yeah. Fire valve. Let's not use it.
Okay. We got ignition. Everything look good?
Yeah, we're good. You got it. How adventurous you feeling?
I'm always up for an adventure.
Okay. Good. Go. Ow.
You got double backfire. One out of the carb and one out of the exhaust.
That's
We got fuel up here though, no?
yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Didn't singe any whiskers, did it?
No. I got some extra. in the car.
That's always the danger.
Yeah. I got a rubber band on my wrist.
That's a good place for it.
Safety goggles on my forehead, rubber band on my wrist.
How much safety? All of it.
Don't ever stop halfway. Were you able to take a glimpse at the oil pressure?
I was not. I was more concerned about
My face.
Anthony
being on fire?
losing the lower half of his face.
Okay, yeah.
You ready?
Yeah, it's gonna light. You got your IR gun handy?
Dead one?
I can check the color of the primaries.
Yep.
And we don't need to change the time.
We got hanging out 2 wires across.
Backfired twice out of that side.
What do we think? Is that 1 and 2?
Could be 1, 2. I mean, we can change it.
Have you touched it? No. Wait.
Don't see any pinches.
They'd be easy to mix up because they're both the same length.
Yeah.
So that says 1.
So that says 2. Going to 1. All right. Let's get these all the same color. Just put half as much drum. Half-inch wrench. I had it in my hand.
In your back pocket. That's right there.
I'll just use that one.
We have more.
I'll use them all.
And then, do you want a screwdriver set base on?
I think we're going to be a lot closer than we think.
You think? Yep. Okay. Where did that guy put the key?
Here it is, over by the screwdriver that's next to the wrench.
All right, are we ready?
Yeah, it's going to be
Ready to party.
Hang on.
We'll wait till
Safety
you,
third.
you get your whiskers out from the danger zone.
I don't mind if they burn. I don't want to get ripped off.
That hurts.
Okay.
Ready?
It's going to be
Start it now. Split. We're done. Okay, now I don't have to. getting a little thick in here.
It's starting to feel like a different day. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to move that fan to a switch circuit.
Lights off real nice though.
What's that?
Starts out real nice.
Yeah.
Remote control cooling fan.
What's that?
Touch that button, this fan turned off.
Well, that's not why it turned off. It turned off because it dropped the temp.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna rewire
Frank
that.
keeps a remote for everybody's
We're gonna rewire that so it's into a switch circuit so it doesn't stay on all the time. But wow, that was good. So apart from
super minor.
2 wires being crossed, I don't know if anybody caught that when we were having struggles with the backfire. It was actually number 1 and 2 spark plug wires at the actual spark plugs were reversed. And rather than pulling the whole spark plug loom apart, we just swapped them. We'll pretty it up later. And as soon as we swapped those, she started right up. We've got 60 pounds of pressure, oil pressure at idle, 70 when we're upper, you know, anything above 1,000 RPM. The fan kicked on right when it was supposed to, right around 190, 192 degrees. You can see it runs on afterwards. We're going to fix that. We're going to put it on a switch circuit. Don't like the way that's wired in the Ron Francis harness, but that's okay. We'll take care of it. And then that's it. It started right up and ran really good once we got those 2 little minor issues taken care of. So thank you, Anthony, for the expertise. And,
Motor sounds happy.
Yep. Nice little engine.
All right, everybody, it is the next day. I really want to thank Anthony and his family for allowing him to spend some time here in the shop yesterday to get this car first started. It was very much uneventful. About the only vehicles, the only engines that are like easier to start than a small block Ford has got to be that Coyote, because they just you barely hit the key and they want to fire every time. But this one started up even with the minor issues that we had. It started right up. We were just having problems with a backfire, and we confirmed it was an ignition backfire, and but it was still running. So, you know, my question is if those were the spark plug wires in the distributor that were on this car when it was, or on this engine when it was dyno tuned, you know, how did it run on the dyno? But it could just be a simple matter that you know, they used their dyno distributor when they dynoed it, and a set of wires that were there, and then they put the distributor in and sent it here. I don't know. I'm not even going to speculate, but we got it fixed enough to allow the engine to run properly. And all I really did, or Anthony did, was swap the 1 and 2 spark plug wires at the spark plugs. We're still going to come back and we're going to address the ugliness that is the spark plug wires on this side right now, but that shouldn't be a big thing. The only other thing that we ran into is the damn Ron Francis harness uses a constant power for the fan relay. So you shut the car off and the fan continues to run, which I don't like. I'm going to rewire that. I've grown somewhat complacent because we've done so many EFI or Coyote builds recently that I don't need to worry about rewiring that, because what we're doing in those instances, we're sending that signal either directly to the fan, or we're sending that signal to the Ron Francis relay. And in the Coyote situation, it is switched anyways. It's a ignition switch source for the fan through the Coyote control pack, so it doesn't run on after you turn the key. So we'll go back into the wiring, we'll fix that, and everything will be fine. But for the most part, everything went according to plan. I think I'm going to play around with the fan speed control, and I'm going to see if maybe I put this one on high speed, because honestly the fan came on during our first start, and I didn't even realize the fan was on. This particular fan that we have on this one didn't seem to produce the amount of noise that I was accustomed to with a similar fan that we've used in the past. So I'm going to check into that. It could have just been that in this closed space, because this is the first time we've done a first start in the workshop, I didn't hear the fan. And we were so worried about other things at that point because we were trying to figure out what was going on with the cross-firing of the spark plugs and getting the thing to idle that I just probably didn't hear the fan at first. So I'm going to kind of look into that. And then the other thing is that I may have said something in the actual first start portion of the video that we didn't have a gauge reading for our fuel tank. Well, stupid me, I don't have any of the wires hooked up that go to the back of the car. So that whole harness that goes to the rear taillights, what would be the fuel pump, and the sending unit for the tank level, the fuel tank level, isn't hooked up because I never bothered hooking everything up or clipping the connectors together for the trailer light converter after I got everything kind of put together. So I need to put all those harnesses and clip them together so that they're ready to go. Verify that the level sensor on the fuel tank works properly. But that's all stuff that I'll get into when I do the dash, because I've still got to do the turn signal install on this car. But all in all, everything worked out really well. The one thing that I probably will not do in the future is first start a car here in the workshop, because the ventilation is tricky at best, and at worst it is very complicated. So with the two small windows and the big door, we really needed the other big door open and a couple of big fans to get all the air moving throughout the workshop. And even though I had the fan on the mini split system, and I had a big fan in the man door for the shop, the exhaust fumes kind of built up quicker than we expected. And so for as long as we had the car running, it got a little thick inside the shop. So ideally, whenever we first start a vehicle, we should be doing them out there in the main shop. But you can see it's a little crowded out in the main shop right now. So we've got the 68 Mustang, we've got the 95 Ford Dually workbench, and we've got over here behind this wall, we've got the 65 Coupe, which is probably going to be going up on the lift next. So saying it's tight in the shop right now is kind of an understatement, but we'll address that when we do whatever the next first start is. It might be the Mustang, I don't know. But I think that's where we're going to leave this one. I did already send a video clip to the King family who own this car, so that they could have a nice weekend. And we're actually doing this video. This weekend is Super Bowl weekend, so I don't know if they're sports fans or not, but if they are, they got two treats. They got the Super Bowl on Sunday, and they got that nice video clip on Saturday that their car is started and running, and it actually runs really good. So again, that's where I'm going to leave this video. If you guys are enjoying the content here, as always, please do the like, the share, the subscribe, all that kind of stuff. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.